Good evening, students. I hope you all can hear me. Uh, I'm Shanilka Perera, and I'll be your lecturer for today. Uh, by the way, I'll be planning to share a small document with you all. You will get this in the meantime, but for now, I'll be sharing this through my laptop. I hope you all can see what I'm sharing currently. Is it okay? Right. For today's business law module, what we're going to do is we'll focus on the content areas first. Okay. Uh, Normally, your business exam, there is a trend or the way they ask questions, there is a similarity. If you now this study guide is prepared in consideration of, I would say, three types of students. Okay. So among you, there might be some students, those who have already studied and they've covered their syllabus and they've done their fair share of work. Okay, so they're all good to go for the exam. So if you want to polish uh, you know uh, your exam skills, well, this could be the chance, right? So you can go through this and or you can just focus on the areas that I'm telling you to focus on, and there I'll be telling you what areas that you should definitely focus on, because those areas are more likely to come. Okay, normally they will definitely come in the exam, so it's important that you definitely focus on those specific areas. Okay, and for those who haven't studied as of yet, I believe your exams are. I think your exams will be falling on, if I'm right, at the end of July, right? So if that is the case, uh, you can you still have time though. All right, or you still have time. So which means you can do what I am telling you to do if you follow the steps. Uh, I can guarantee you can pass the exam, right? If you do what I'm telling you to do. And if you want to go for an A also, well, you can follow what I'm telling and the extra hints that I'm giving to you all. With that, you can definitely go for an A, but subject to the condition that you follow the instructions that I'm giving you to the letter. Okay. For those who haven't studied but also have not even, you don't know anything about law, then you might not have sufficient time to kind of completely go through all these areas, right? And for those of you who want to kind of focus on the main exams, like other subjects, right? And rather focus on, I don't know, you have other subjects for double AT, right? And if you want to get through law, well, then this document is for you all, and this lecture is for you all as well. Okay, right? Without any further delay, let's just go into this. Uh, in general, these are your focus areas, right? These are the relevant chapters. I'll tell you what to study on, okay? Stay with me for a while, okay? So these are the relevant chapters, okay? Normally you have these chapter one, introduction to law, you have the contract law, sale of goods ordinance, right? As you can see, I believe you can see on the screen, right? Law of agency, negotiable instruments, partnerships. So I don't have to read out all you all. Like, it's literally there are 10 chapters. Now these 10 chapters, uh, you will get around mostly your paper structure will consist of OTQs, or we call them MCQs as well, in other words, right? Section A will consist of MCQs. Normally section A will come from any of these areas. Okay, any of these areas. For section A, you don't need to have memorized anything, you need to have the understanding. Right, so if you have a simple understanding on all of the chapters, acing section A is not that difficult. If you are still unsure of the MCQs, the best method that I would suggest is for you all to kind of focus on the past papers. You have to do, I mean, there are almost past papers from 2016 to almost 10 years worth of past papers, right? So if you can go through the MCQs of these past papers, right? Uh, you will realize that section A mostly have repetitive questions, especially on Introduction to Law, Chapter 1, right? They'll have repetitive questions, which means you can focus on those questions that are being repeated again and again, because if you do the past papers on that aspect, it's much more easier for you all to understand how to approach Section 9. And beyond the other hand, you have these direct questions, I call them, right? That means they will straight away ask you to discuss or simply to explain, maybe to identify or to state certain obligations, identify the objectives, the purposes, maybe the duties of a particular maybe director, maybe agent, right? Normally, there are 5 questions in section B, and it will consist of 50 marks. This direct question, or rather section B, is not difficult, and it's also time saving. You don't have to spend a lot of time on that. As long as you know the answer, you can just directly write it. There's no writing structure for section B per se, unlike in section C. Okay, you can directly answer the question, and you can move on to the next question. But with section C, of course, it's a bit of essay type question. I believe you have gone through the past papers by now. If you all have seen a past paper, you'll realize that section C has a essay type. Like, there's a problem question. Based on that problem, they'll be asking you a question, and that question will consist either of one part, like part A and part B, and there'll be sub questions, right? So total marks allocating for 25 marks. So either a 15 mark question and a 10 mark question, or they'll break it down. Okay, they'll break it down further. Depends, right? Maybe part A, part B. Right. So to answer section C, you need to actually write the answer properly. So I'll tell you how to write a proper answer. I'll give you a guideline. You can practice your past papers based on that guideline. This is not a mandatory guideline for your exams, but I would recommend it, because then you will not miss anything. Right? You are more likely to include what needs to be written if you follow the method that I'm going to teach you. Okay, right. Let's go for this value. Okay. Before I go into this, the writing methods. Okay. If you have got, I believe you have got the document also. Before I go into the writing methods, let me tell you what to study and what not to study. Right. That is important, I believe. In the first instance itself, well, let's take up that matter. Okay. Let's see what are the areas you should focus on. That means definitely you should study. What are the areas you can ignore because you might not have time. Right. For those who have studied these chapters, it's fine. Okay, you can continue your method. For those who are planning to study now, then I would recommend you go in this order. Right? Let's take chapter 1 per se. It's about the introduction to law. Theoretically, this chapter is a little bit big. Right? There are a lot of contents to remember. Right? For example, you'll have to go through the powers of the code, personal laws, Roman Dutch law, sources of law. Right? I don't want you to study this, right? You don't study this chapter, okay? Don't go to memorize this chapter either, because it's going to be a waste of your time. Reason is because you will not get a main question from this chapter. You will be limited to a maximum of 3 or 4 MCQs, right? So if MCQs will carry maybe 2 marks or 4 marks, right? Maximum of 5 marks. So it is up to you to decide whether to spend long hours of studying just to score 4 to 5 marks. That would not be very wise at all. So if you want to go with smart studying, if you want to study in a smart way, what you should do, what you should be doing is that you kind of delay studying chapter 1. You don't have to do it in the first instance, right? You can study chapter 1, not study. I would recommend you simply do the past papers of chapter 1. All the MCQs relevant to chapter 1. If you get them done, that's more than enough, right? You don't have to go and study this. That's going to be a big waste of your time. Okay. So I have told you the recommended form of studying for this chapter, right? You can see this in the document itself, right? I have told you what to be done. So you can read that and you can follow that instruction. And that will save you a lot of time. And also it will help you to allocate your valuable time to a better chapter, right? So chapter 1, you can follow that instruction, right? You can do the past papers only, no need to study that. Chapter 2, well, definitely you have to study this, right? This is a main question. You will get a question from contract law. You are going to get a question, definitely. Okay. So if that is the scenario, what should you focus on? Well, this is a big area, but the question will be either from one of these areas, right? Either from the elements of a contract. When I say elements, it's mainly these two. Okay, offer and acceptance are questions are tested a lot. That doesn't mean the others are not tested, but mostly offer and acceptance are tested. Okay, so when you are studying for this, you first of all read the case laws. There will be certain case laws related to this chapter. If you all have been doing with your lecturers or your other, I don't know how you all have studied, right? If it's purely online or through, you watch these e-learning, then I may have provided you with the case laws. If you have studied in any other manner, right, you try to get the case laws, right? So you first read the case laws. Do you have to write the case laws in the exam? Yeah, you have to, right? You don't need to write the full story. So most importantly, remember the case law means just the name of the case law and what is the judgment, what was it held on. Okay, so for you all, I believe if you have this document in hand, you don't have to worry about that. I have given you all the case laws that are necessary, not for all the chapters. In the same document, you will find all the case laws that you need to write the exam in in a very short and sweet format, right? So you can easily remember them. If you write like that, that's more than enough. Okay. Uh, you can write further, right? No harm. For those who want to quickly grasp the concept, I have given the case laws. Well, let me show you. These are the ways to start. Right? If you go to chapter 3 in this same document, I have given a chapter called Relevant Case Laws and Acts. Right? So in this, you can see chapter 2 important case laws. Right? Under offer, these are the case laws, and I have given you, and I simply provided you the summary of the case law as well. And you can simply go through this. You don't have to study all the case laws, okay? Where my suggestion is you do the past papers at least from 2018, from 2018, or if possible, at least from 2020 to the present, because that will help you to cover majority of the important lessons in under contract law. That is the best way, right? I'll teach you how to write the answers, but what I mean is that you need to kind of conduct your course of action in past papers, because that will help you to remember the case laws better. Okay, right. So don't worry about this. Okay, all the cases are here anywhere, right? Okay, let's just get back to chapter 2, what you have to study, right? Remedies for breach of contract, terms of contract, and exemption clause. These are some areas that have been tested, okay? So, yeah, contract law is a must. So, if you want to study from somewhere, I would say contract law is a good way to start, because then you still have time till the 27th of June. I think your exam's on the 27th of July or something, right? Probably at the end of the July or beginning of August, no? So in that scenario, you have time to cover your contract law, which is a definite question, and most likely you will have 10 marks to 15 marks on this. So yeah, okay. Right. So follow these first three instructions as much as possible. Okay. Practice answering questions. I'll teach you in a while. Right. Okay. Chapter 3, sale of goods orders, definite area. You will get this area. Okay. So what should you focus on? Sections 13, 14, 15, 16, and section 19.1 and section 19.5 a lot. Okay. These two is really, really important, right? Section 19.1, section 19.5, okay? Focus on this a lot. So these sections are also anyway important. Anyway, your question will be based on one or two of these sections, maximum, right? Either section 13 and 14, one question divided into two questions, like part A and part B. Maybe mostly you will get direct questions. I rarely see a problem question on this. There have been a few questions, but if there was a problem question, it will be based on section 19.1 or section 19.5, right? And when I'm talking about section 19 and section 13, 14, and if you have no idea what these sections are, well, then it is better that you go and double check, okay? Because But if you do have a question, you can ask me. It's fine. You can ask me to explain a section or anything. It's fine. But my plan is not to explain a lesson today in this, right? I believe you must have had access to lessons or anything, no? If you need an explanation in a section, any clarification, you can ask me. All right, that's quite fine. Okay. Right. Here you need to memorize these sections. Huh? All these sections you have to memorize. And if you have my slides in our e-learning program, if you have my slides, I believe I have given a short form of these sections, right? You can click on that. All right. So chapter 3, yeah, definitely. You need to go through this. The question is going to come, right? So now, by now, you have two chapters to focus on, right? Contract law and sale of goods ordinance. Right. Yeah, if I'm going too fast, you let me know, okay? You need to take some notes down or anything, you let me know, right? Chapter 4, law of agency. This is a most probable chapter. There are questions on this, but in the recent times, a little bit less. Or rather, I would say the questions are a bit more easier in the recent times. Okay, they're not that difficult. If you know, but understand creation of an agency. Okay, how an agency is created. Sometimes it can be an agent by necessity. It can be a agency created by oral means or in writing, right, or by implication. Okay, by ratification. Okay, so all these creations of an agency, you need to understand that how will the agency be created? Because if there's a problem question, you have to first understand how was the agency created in the problem question. Was it done, by with the consent of the parties? So there is a agency by agreement, or is it an agency by implied consent? Is it by necessity, right? So you need to understand that first, right? Then thereafter you can focus on the rights and duties. Okay. Rights and duties of agents have been tested multiple times. You study that and go. Okay, that's very easy to remember. Okay, the rights of agents and the duties of agents. And the termination of agency, there are only three ways to terminate, mostly two ways. But when you're terminating an agency, see what are the reasons, possible causes of terminating. So if you focus your study on this specific areas, it's much easier. Okay? Law of agency is not that difficult. Okay. Uh, Best if you can do some past papers on this as well. Okay. Few past paper questions. If it's being repeated, then it's fine. Then you do it again. Right. Do the questions that have not been repeated, like different types of law of agency questions from different areas. Much easier for you to focus on. Right. So yeah, chapters 2, 3, and 4. Okay. Contract law, sale of goods ordinance, law of agency. You need to focus. Okay. Okay, chapter 5. In the very modern days, like the new ones, there has been a question on this. Earlier, company law was not tested. Partnerships were tested. This is under same chapter, okay? Under same chapter, you will either get company law or partnerships. Earlier, they tested a lot on partnerships, but now they have a tendency to test on company law. If it's even though you get a question from this, it's going to be a very direct question. That means a section B question. What you have to focus on is the legal personality of a company, like the advantages of it. What do you mean by articles of association? What are the duties of a director? There are like three or four duties along with the section 97 and so on. Okay. So you can remember them 197, 198, 200, 201, right? Under the Companies Act. Okay. So you can focus on that a little bit. They have been tested for a while. Then qualifications to be a director. Okay. I believe I put some of these in here if you need to focus on, right? If you can go down in this document that I have sent to you here under company law, section 2, company has a capacity to contract. These are the duties of directors. See, I have provided you all in this document literally, right? Disqualifications to be a director. That means who can't be a director. Okay. And then partnerships, I have given you the duties of partners with sections and case laws, right? So you literally have a document, which is easier for you to study. That is in chapter 3, okay? I'm currently telling you what to study and what not to study, right? Okay, chapter 5 about company land partnership. There's a high possibility. My recommendation is if you have time, you better study this, right? This is definitely important. Negotiable instruments, focus only on checks. Focus a lot on checks. Let's say you don't have time to study all, then under chapter 6, focus a lot on checks, right? What are the types of checks? Simple things. What do you mean by a crossing? What are the types of crossing? You have special crossing, general crossing. Can banks refuse payment? That you can get a problem question. Someone is going to the bank, right? And the bank is not paying the check. But so why have normally a check is an order. You have to pay. The bank has to pay. But why has the bank refused to pay? Then there should be a reason. Probable cause will be maybe there's insufficient funds. Now the bank can refuse. Maybe there's a signature missing in the check. Then the bank can refuse payment. Okay, so there are things like that. Okay, so you focus on those areas a little bit. Maybe the characteristics of a hold in due course. These are a little bit important, right? Uh, yeah, mostly these two. If you have time, you focus on chapter 6, right? You will get a small question on this, probably a 5 marker. Maximum, if you get a 10 mark question, well, you are lucky and unlucky at the same time. If you have studied, lucky, because it's very easy. If you've not studied, well, that's your risk, right? But yeah, like focus on the first four areas that I told, chapter 2, 3, 4, and 5. And if you have time, go for negotiable instruments, right? Labor law also, you can focus a bit on labor law, mostly on these acts, but you don't have time to go for theory, right? That will be too much for you all. What I would say is you focus on these things in this each and every act. Now, if it's a shop and office act, understand how many leave do you have. Normally, under shop and office act is applicable to whom? It's applicable to any person working in a shop or office. What's the leave entitlement? Normally, you are entitled for 21 days of leave, 14 days annual and 7 days casual. But that is only if you become, you have been working for a company for over a year. Until 1 year passes, you can only have half a day for a month or 1 day for 2 months, every 2 months, right? So, Shop and Office Act is applicable to those who work in shops and offices. What are the maternity benefit limits? Work hours, normally 8 hours, right? Uh, but normally, if you are working for 9 hours, what it implies is that you work for 8 hours, 1 hour is the break, right? And pay. In Sri Lanka, 8 hours is excluding the this 1 hour. That's why you go to 9 hours of work. Hmm? Uh, Termination of employment of workmen, like how who falls under this category, right? EPF, ETF, how to claim, who is eligible, who can pay EPF, who cannot pay EPF, and ETF, right? Gratuity, right? Those things you need to have a good idea on those. Okay, labor law. If you have time, you focus. If not, focus only on these small areas. Okay. Otherwise, if you are, because I want you all to focus a bit more on chapter 2, 3, and 4 and 5. Okay, chapter 2 contract law, chapter 3 sale of goods ordinance, chapter 4 law of agency, chapter 5 company law and partnerships. You focus a lot on that. Okay, right. So you can slightly study less on chapter 6 and chapter 7, right? And I've told you how to study also in here, right? Insurance. Well, this is a must, right? You are going to get a question on insurance anyway. Uh, from which area? Well, either principles of insurance, I have given principles here, or types of insurance, or you'll get from the rights and obligations of the owner and hirer. Because insurance chapter contains insurance, hire purchase, and leasing. Normally, they have tested mostly on insurance. So if you can't study all of this, all three under chapter 8, then study insurance, which is our best guess. There was a question 2022 Jan, if I'm right, or 20. I can't remember the exact paper. I'm sorry right now, but there was a question on hire purchase. If you can get that paper, if you do that paper, that question, that's more than enough for hire purchase. Because they only test the rights and obligations of the owner and the hirer in hire purchase. Leasing also, they only test the benefits of leasing to lessor and the lessee. That's all. If you know these two, the rights and obligations, that's more than enough. For insurance, though, you need to have a good idea of all this. Utmost good faith, indemnity, what do you mean by subrogation? Uh, Remember here, I'll give you a hint. To understand the principles of insurance, you read the case laws. Okay? Because the question is always based on a case law. The question is always based on a case law. Okay? There's not going to be any for insurance. No, I can't remember the exact past paper, may the year. But for insurance, each and every past paper, there has been a question on insurance. What I mean is, when you study, you read the case laws, okay, related to principles of insurance. That is because the question that you are going to get in your paper will be based on the case law. So if you know the case law, you will know the principle. Much easier to study like that. If you simply go to study the whole theory, it's not going to end. It will be too much. Best is you read the case law, right? Under principles of insurance, let me check what I have given in here. I believe you have got the document. You can scroll through this later. Yeah, I have given here. You have the questions here. See, you have the case laws here. You don't have to search anywhere. Right? In the same document, I have given you under insurance and utmost good faith. I have given you what are the case laws that will definitely come. Right? A question will come from one of these, either one of these. If it's indemnity from this, if it's insurable interest from this. Okay. Will they question to define the principles of insurance? No. What do you mean define the principles of insurance? Not like that. You'll get a problem question mainly. If you get to define the principles of insurance, you simply explain. Finish. No? That's easy then. That's much better. No? If they ask you to define, there's nothing to define. Okay. That is when you write an answer, you define and go. But if they ask you to explain or discuss the principles of insurance, discuss these principles, okay, and put one or two case laws to explain it. More than enough. Then that's much easier. No? Yeah, don't define the case law. You write a case law. If you can't write, remember here. If you can't write this, at least write the name. Hmm. You can't remember the name. At least write what happened in the case law. In a famous case law, it was held that failure to disclose a material fact with intention to leads to a breach of utmost good faith. Okay, something like that. At least, huh? Don't do it, but at least if in case of emergency. Right? So if you get to define, well, simply explain what is utmost good faith and give one or two case laws. Simply explain what is indemnity, give this case law. Insurable interest, pretty easy. You can only insure what you have interest on. What do you mean by insurable interest then? By having that subject matter of insurance, you will have some sort of a possession, and if it is lost, you will face a loss. So only which you can face a loss or which you will feel a loss can be insured. So Griffith versus Fleming held that spouses, right? Husband can insure against the wife and wife can take insurance against husband. Okay. But siblings don't have insurable interest according to Evans versus Crook. Let's see how there's a difference. Okay. Right. Right. Okay. Perfect. Let's ask your questions. No worries. Let's quickly go to this what has to be studied. So insurance definitely. Okay. Uh, okay. Chapter 9 international trade law. It's a very less probability of coming because they've not tested it. Even if it comes, it's pretty easy. Okay, they ask for direct questions. You can see this for MCQs mostly. They'll ask out of these documents what is a what's a bill of lading, right? Or what can be considered as what can be considered as a conflict resolution method. Right? We have conciliation, we have chambers of commerce, mediation, arbitration. Those are conflict resolution methods. Going to courts is not a conflict resolution method. Okay, that's not a method of ADR, alternative dispute resolution. Okay, CRM, conflict resolution methods includes courts, but ADR doesn't. Alternative dispute resolution doesn't include going to court. Normally, international trade law, if there's issue, you will always go to arbitration or mediation. Right? If you want to study this, you study what is FOB and CIF. Study what are the duties of FOB seller, right? What are the duties of this CIF seller and buyer, right? You study should be focused on that. Okay, that is more than enough for chapter 9. If you have time, you focus at last, not in the beginning. Okay, at last. In the beginning, contract law, sale of goods, agency, and partnerships and company law. You have to study that. Plus insurance. Those are the first area that you have to study on. Right. And chapter 10, well, this is students, don't study this. You know why? It'll be too much for y'all, and it'll be too much of work to study this all and to memorize it. Best is you do only the past papers. You only practice the past papers, but you have to do the past papers from 2016 onwards. When you do, maybe the first three papers will be difficult. You have to find the answers, get the marking scheme. It's fine. You get the marking. I think you can access the AAT website, right? Get the marking scheme. Go through, write what is in the marking scheme in the question. Okay? For the first 3 years, 2016, 17, 18. Then from 2019 and 2020, you will realize, well, the same what question is being repeated, right? They will test on one of these areas, okay? And in, let's say they tested from Prevention of Money Laundering Act. That's a big area, but the question they ask or the questions they ask from Prevention of Money Laundering is the same, right? It'll always be the same. From Bribery Act, it's the same. Now, if you take Consumer Affairs Authority Act, they have always tested what are the capabilities of the Consumer Affairs Authority. What can they do? What are their duties? What are their rights against the seller? What are their duties against the seller? Right? Things like that. Okay. Even intellectual property, they have tested the same thing. If a question comes, similar question comes. So that is the advantage you have. So you will get a question from this. Normally they have tested this throughout, for all the last 10, 15, not 15, the last 10, 8, 10 years, they have tested this, which means you are going to get this. But I wouldn't recommend studying this. It'll kind of confuse you, especially if you have not listened to any lectures or you have not done any lectures or anything. And if you are trying to study now itself, I wouldn't recommend studying this. That will be too much. So this one you only focus on past papers. And also this is a good chapter for you to start studying also. Like start your past papers also. This is a good chapter. You can get all the chapter 10 questions. Subject to the condition that you all can identify the question. Okay. That is also there. Right. So you'll be able to understand. So if there's a question on prevention of money laundering or intellectual property act, if any of these acts are related, that's a question from chapter 10. In that scenario, you focus only on the past paper and you write that answer. Multiple times when you write the second, third, fourth paper, you'll realize it's much easier. The same question is being tested, right? And that's what I did in my physical lectures also. That's what I did earlier, right? I focus only on the past papers that made students find it easier, and they understood the content also. So it has been tested, tried and tested. It's a tried and tested method, and you all also can do the same if you want. Okay, right. Okay, I hope you all are okay with the focus areas. Okay, I don't want to delay too much, take too much time. If any question, you let me know. In the meantime, I'll drop down to the answer format. Okay, and I have given you an introduction on how to write an answer and a sample answer as well. Okay, let's just discuss this for now. Now let's see. Now normally when you're writing an answer, right, you can follow this method, the ILAC method. You can focus on the introduction first. So when you start your answer, go for introduction. Could be a definition, could be maybe simply stating the question again in a very brief matter. You are not allocated marks for introduction. Those who can't start the law suddenly, for them you can do the introduction, because some students need to write something to get into the answer. They can't directly go to the answer. You need to get something going on. You need to start something to write, so that then only you will enter into the answer. Okay, that's how for some students, right? For those students, you can follow the ILAC method, right? You have an introduction and then you state the law. Now, what do you mean by the law? Okay, now here's the introduction. Okay, ILAC method. Introduction, law, application, and the conclusion, right? In introduction, you can have simple definitions, right? Small introductions, right? You don't have to write paragraphs. It's simply one or two. One paragraph is more than enough. A small one, that is. See, I'll give an example. If it's about contract law, you can start a contract is a legally binding agreement between two or more people. If it's about contract law but about acceptance, you can write acceptance is unconditional acceptance of the offer. No? Something like that. A very simple introduction to get you started. But you have to definitely state the law. How do you state the law? What do you mean by law? Can be a section. Go ahead. For example, as per section 14 of the sale of goods ordinance. As per section 16 of the sale of goods ordinance, and you tell the law. What does that section tell? You tell it. Law can be sections also. Law can be laws also. Case laws. See this. As per Adams versus Lindsay, in some past papers and in some sources, this is an Adams versus Lindsay. Okay, there can be a change. I can't find the source, the exact source now, right? So it could be it's a bit of old case now. So it could be Lindsay or Lindsay. Can be both. Both are fine, right? I think it's Lindsay. I can't remember exactly, but anyway, as per Adams versus Lindsay, if the parties have agreed expressly or impliedly to communicate the acceptance of an offer by post, then the moment the letter of acceptance was posted, acceptance is deemed to have been completed. So this is one way to tell the law. According to this case, this is the law. What is the law? This part. See, if they have agreed to, accept by post, then the moment you put the letter to the post box, contract is made, acceptance is made. That is actually the postal rule. That postal rule was established in this Adams versus Lindsay case. So that is the law. Okay, simple as that. Now, what is the difficult part? Not difficult. What you all find it little bit challenging is that how to apply this to the given scenario. For that, of course, you'd have read the question. Without reading the question, you can't apply. Okay, how to apply? So now you have given the law. No? Once you have given the law, you discuss whether the law that is in Adams versus Lindsay is it similar to the given case scenario. Right? Now, for example, in applying the above discussed law, what is the above discussed law? This one, Adams versus Lindsay. Okay. To the given scenario, when Mr. A posted the letter on 12th February, and even if it was delayed due to a strike, Mr. A legally accepted the offer of Mr. B because of the postal rule established by law. So, according to here, I would say for application, copy paste the question. Tell what happened in the scenario, your case study. Right? If whether someone has accepted it by post, someone has rejected it by post, you tell it, and then you see whether the law and whether the law and the scenario matches. If it matches, then apply that law to the given scenario. Okay. And finally, you can give a conclusion. In the conclusion, you have to answer the question. If the question is asking whether there was a valid contract, then you have to answer. Okay. Example, in conclusion, as per the above discussed law and its application, it can be agreed that there is a valid contract between Mr. A and Mr. B. Okay. So you can give a simple conclusion to validate your answer, to finally tell yes or no to the given question. Okay. Right. Let's see the sample question. Mr. B offered Mr. A his car for 8 million. Mr. B informed Mr. A to send his acceptance letter by post. So here Mr. B is the offer, right? Mr. A is the offeree. Yeah. And then Mr. B informed Mr. A to send his acceptance by post. He posted the letter of acceptance on 12th February. However, due to a strike in the postal department, the letter was delivered to Mr. B on 20th February. So simply, Mr. A wanted to accept. Did he put the letter of acceptance? Yes, he did. On which date? On the 12th of February. But because of a strike, in the postal department, the letter delivered to Mr. B on the 20th. So later only he got the letter to his hand. Now, in the meantime, what does Mr. B think? Mr. B thinking that Mr. A has no interest in the offer because he had not received any letter of acceptance. sells it to Mr. C on 15th February. So Mr. B thought, okay, well, Mr. A must not be, willing to buy the car. Mr. C is here, let me sell it to him. By 15th February, he has sold. But unknown to Mr. B, Mr. A has already accepted the offer. When? On 12th February. Why? He posted the letter on 12th February. Whether Mr. B received it or not, he posted on 12th February. That is the law. Adams was the link, so that is the law. Right? So Mr. A says there's a valid contract, valid agreement, but Mr. B denies it. Discuss whether there is a valid agreement between the two parties. So this is a sample question. See the sample answer. You can first define. So this is introduction here. The contract is a legally binding agreement between the two parties. It can be made orally. You don't have to write this much. These are a little bit too much here. Right? Until here it's fine. Okay. A simple yeah, around this size is enough. Okay. And then you can write what is acceptance because the question is relevant to acceptance. So acceptance means the unconditional agreement to an offer. For it to be valid, it must be communicated. It must be communicated officially, and silence doesn't amount to acceptance. Okay. So that is the law. And see here, when communicating acceptance, now this is the law here. If the parties have agreed expressly or impliedly, it must be communicated by post, then the postal rule shall apply. According to Adams and Lindsay, if the parties have agreed expressly, yeah, right, according to this case, then the day you put the letter into the post box is the date of acceptance. Now, do you tell me, according to this, what has happened there? According to what has happened? Letter of acceptance posted on 12th February. Law says if you post it, acceptance is made, whether the other person received it or not. Mr. B did not receive. So he is saying, I didn't receive your letter, so I received it on the 20th or later date. Right? I have already sold my car on 15th. But no, he can't sell to Mr. C on 15th. Why? By that time, it has already been sold to me, not sold, but legally it has contract is made between Mr. A and Mr. B. Okay? See, so in applying the above law to the given scenario, it can be seen that Mr. A and Mr. B expressly agreed to communicate the acceptance by post. Therefore, the postal rule is applicable. So, when Mr. A posted the letter on the 12th of February, on that day itself he accepted the offer of Mr. B, even though the letter was received by Mr. B on 20th February. In conclusion, due to the application of the above discussed postal rule in acceptance, there is a valid contract between Mr. A and Mr. B. Therefore, the contract between Mr. B and Mr. C is null and void. Okay? Between Mr. B and C is null and void, as Mr. A has accepted before Mr. C. Right. Okay, I hope this is clear to you all. Okay. Yeah. Someone has asked a question of valid contract. Yeah, there's a valid contract there, right? Between Mr. A and Mr. B, there is a valid contract. Yeah, very good, very good. Yes, exactly. Right. So these are sample answers. Okay, if you all have got this document, I think it was in the group, if I'm right. Anyway, someone will drop it. If not, I think you all must have received it by now, right? You will find how to write an answer in here. Okay. Remember, this is right. These are for problem questions. You can use it for others also. But for direct questions, you can simply write the law and the application. Okay. For direct section B, law and application is enough. For section C, you write a essay type answer like this. ILAC. Introduction. Remember ILAC. Introduction, law, application, conclusion. Then you will always check. Have I written the introduction? Have I written the law? Have I applied the law to the given scenario? Have I concluded my matter? Then you won't miss anything. That's the whole point. This is not the mandatory one. Nah? There's no mandatory way of writing. I'm just suggesting to you, if you want, you can use this. My recommendation is to use it. Okay, you're free to choose. Right? Okay, so you can go through this sample answer also, right? Okay. Apart from that, this study, your study guide will contain all the case laws, as I told you all earlier. Uh, Section B, dear, I mean, you have to write direct. You don't have to focus. If you want, you can write like this. No issue. For section B, you can follow this method also, no problem. Right? But focus more on law and application because those are very direct questions. They'll ask you to write what are the duties of a director. Then you don't have to write essay, no? You can straight away say, according to this, according to section 197 of the Companies Act, one of the duties of directors are this. You can straight away write the duties of the directors. If there is a case or a problem in the direct answer, like section B, apply a little bit. Okay, if, let's say they have given let's say Mr. Fernando is a director. Okay, and he has ignored his duty. So discuss whether may he has a interest to the shareholder or to the company. You have to say according to this section, his interest is towards the company, right? Especially you will get these on agents. Agent has done something. They're asking what are the duties of the agent. Then apply a little bit. Use the name. Let's say Tom and Jerry. Yeah, Tom has been an agent, and Jerry was also a sorry. Let's say they were partners. Okay, as a partner, you have certain rights and duties. So maybe Tom has ignored those rights and duties. So then you can use the word according to this scenario. Tom is a partner. Then he has these following rights, or then he has these following duties. In the according to the given scenario, he has breached these duties. Right? He has not shared the profit. He has earned a secret profit. Like that, you can straight away tell, direct it. If you want, if it is very confusing, just follow this method for everything. That's also fine. Completely fine. Okay. For section B and section C, straight away one shot you can follow this. No worries. Okay. Applicable for both anyway. Right. I hope that answers your question. Okay. Right. For those who want quick short note stuff, you can go to the chapter 3 in this document. It will contain all your relevant oh, by the way, commercial high court, I'll check this. Okay, if you possible check this again. I can't remember it was this is the latest amount. I don't like, I'll check whether there was any change in 2025 for matters, but no worries, this is not that much relevant. Focus a bit more on case laws, right? I've given all the case laws under chapter 2, offer, acceptance. Acceptor, remember these three, yeah, you get sometimes, right? Ah, yeah, it's lien sale only, no? I've told you Adams was a lien sale, yeah. Postal rule, Powell versus Lee, acceptance must be communicated. Silence doesn't amount to acceptance. Feldhaus versus Bingley. I think it should be Feldhaus, F-E-L-T, I can't remember much. Anyway, don't worry too much about the spellings of the case. If there are spelling mistakes, it's fine. But don't write a different case law. Huh? Don't write your mother's and father's name and come, or your friend's name and come. Right? Okay. Don't write the false cases. Okay. There can be many Fernando's or Perera, I don't know, you whatever you all are watching in movies or whatever. Okay, don't write those actors' names or whatever, thinking that won't be that's not going to get you marks, right? Only relevant case laws should be written. Don't for me falsify cases. Okay, right. So these are all about contract law. Seller, I have given here. No, see for your short period of studies, section 13A. Seller must have the right to sell the goods. So this is the law. This is the case law. Roland versus Duval. You can simply apply. You can simply apply this to the given scenario. See whether in the given scenario, the seller, whoever sold it to the other guy, had the right to sell. If it was stolen, if I stole a good, if I stole my phone and I sold it to one of you won't get the right. Because why? I didn't have a right. If I don't have a right to sell, you don't get a right to enjoy it. Right? At least in Sri Lanka, there is the law. Okay. So you will have to return the phone to the original owner. But of course, you can get the money back from me. That is there. Okay, that is there. Okay. Section 14, sale of goods by description. Right. If I describe something orally or in writing, I have that if I describe a knife and that I'm saying I'm describing this knife can cut bread, it should be able to cut bread. Okay, simple as that. If I describe something, and remember section 14, there are two, that is sale of goods by description and sale of goods by description and sample. Okay. So they are talking about two things in the same section 14. Okay. Sale of goods by description. I have broken it down for you all. Okay. Here. So no worries. It's here. All relevant cases are here. There are other case laws here and there. You can add them to your list, right? Your personal case law, you can add them to your list. There are many case laws for these sections. Okay, no worries. You can add them. For section 19, rule number 5, don't write section 19.1 or 19.5. What we refer is section 19 rule. Section 19, there are certain 5 rules. Rule number 1, 2, 3.5. Sorry. For rule number 5, you can focus on these case laws. Right. Anyway, I have given you, I think this is more than enough for you all, no? Right? To study, isn't it? You all can go through this and whatever you need is here. Right? The duties of an agent. Agent should not make secret profit. This is only one I have given in here, one duty. There can be one or two additional. Partnership duties are there. Negotiable instruments, hold in due course I have given. Uh, Labor law, focus on these ones. Yes. Legal age of work increased to earlier legal age of work. Yeah, it's 16 now. By 16 you can start work. That's correct. Insurance. Yeah. And after doing all of that, you will have a model answer here. Sorry, model question paper. Mm, right. This, of course, after studying only, I would recommend you to do this. Huh? Okay. Uh, if you can do this and send me, I can check and give you. Right. So it's very simple, but if you can't study, those who can't study students, at least start doing this model or the revision paper that is in this same document. At least start with this. That might help you. If you don't, if, now, maybe you don't feel like studying, no lack of motivation, lack of discipline, maybe, right? Then tell your brain, I'm not going to study. I'm only going to write some notes, and you start doing this. You trick your brain. It's fine. What else to do? Right? Otherwise, your brain will not listen to you. Okay. So you don't have to force anything, right? You don't have to study hard. You don't have to work hard. Do it joyfully. Whatever you are doing, do it joyfully. Uh, Learn smartly. Okay. You prepare for the exam smartly, and I've told you how to do that right now. Okay. All right. By the way, I don't want to drag on too much. I want to hear your questions also because me explaining again shouldn't be the scenario here. It should be a good discussion. If you have questions, I can clarify, right? But I explain this to you so that you have an idea on what needs to be done, how to prepare for your exams, right? If you got this document, you can go through it early on, and I've given the contents here. Uh, See this properly. Yeah, see this. There are 26 pages here, so see this properly. Uh, I had to put some effort into it also, right? So check it out. Okay. Yeah. Any questions, by the way, other than that, other than what was asked and answered? What are the other questions you'll have? Answers for the model questions in the group when we are done. Yeah, but besties, no. It's like this. I can send the model answers, but those answers is again that I am sending it to you. Uh, I understand. I understand what you are referring. That is actually a good strategy, which is really good. It is a good suggestion also, right? That is much appreciated. But now the purpose that I gave you the model questions were so that you will search. Right now, I told you, for those who can't immediately start studying, okay, I asked them to start with the model paper or the model questions. Why I told that is, okay, I'll tell you the reason. Why I told that is when you go to start something, right, you need to answer that question, you need to have the knowledge, right? So when you are going through the question, when you don't know the answer to that, what will you do? If I give you the mark scheme or whatever, it's pretty easy then. Then you will just, check it and do. But I want you to do a little bit of work to find the answer also. Because when you do the work to find the answer, you are more likely to remember it. Okay? It might seem a little bit inconvenient, but that would be the best scenario for you, given the aspect that you need to study a lot and there are a lot to remember. uh, the smart way is to put a little bit of effort into finding an answer, because what any answer that you find rather than given to you is more likely to remain with you for a long time. It'll help you. It'll help you to remember more. That was my whole plan. Okay. If you do have any, if let's say you did the model question, send it to me, right? You can take some photographs or whatever, send it to me. You can get my number from GMC, they'll give it to you, right? Tell them that is to send the answers for the model questions. You do and send, then I can check and correct and give it to you all that. That way it's much easier. And that way I can tell you what has gone wrong, especially these essay type questions. Because MCQs, of course, you can correct by yourself, not a big deal. But for the essay type questions, there is no exact answer. Okay, it depends on how you have explained. So if I have to see how what you have explained. So if I am open from my end to help you out, if you reach me, right? No issue.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Uh, in company law, do
Mhm.
we have to study the duties of directors with the section number?
Um, like this. Let's go to duties of directors from 197 under the Companies Act. Okay. Now in this, you see duties of directors. Okay. In this, when you study, if you have time and the capacity, right? Now I don't normally discriminate, but now you, as a student, by now you should know. Look, I have a capacity for maybe I can remember numbers easily. I can remember theory easily. It depends on the strength and weakness of each everyone. If you have the time to study with section numbers, perfect. Completely go for it. But let's say you can't do sections like it's very troubling, it's very messing up your head and everything. Then you can forget these section numbers, focus on the theory. Remember, directors have a duty to act in good faith. Directors must comply with that. Like that, you can simply remember the theory. It's fine. Okay. If you have time and the capacity, well, then go for it. Then go for the sections. If you have the time, if you have the capacity, you are more likely to remember like that. Why not? Then why not? But if it's difficult for you, now don't put yourself, just because I say so, don't put yourself, I'm a person who can't remember numbers, so let me just study the. No, you don't do like that. First put effort and see whether you can remember. Right? Because these go consequentially 187, 188, 189, 190. See, it goes in this order. At least these first four sections you can remember much easier than finish them. 187 to 190. Please write
Okay,
like
sir.
that
Thank
and then
you.
just simply explain. Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, okay. Important questions. Oh, yeah, of course, of course. Let's go for MCQs. Right. Now, students, normally MCQs, they come in this type of format, okay? You get normally four answers to answer. Remember, when you're answering MCQ, you can't spend more than 5 minutes or two. Even I would say you can't spend more than 1 minute on one question. Okay? Understand? You can't spend more than on right. You can't spend more than 1 minute on the MCQs. Okay? I'll just before I go into a little bit on the MCQs, I'll just give a hint. In MCQs, if you know the answer, you know the answer. Okay? In MCQs. If you don't know the answer, you don't know. That's pretty much it. If you know the answer in MCQs, right? Let's say the first question you don't know, well, leave it and go for the second one. But if you don't know the answer, okay, what you can do is you can do a guesswork. You might know some answers are not relevant. You don't know the answer, but you know some of the answers are anyway incorrect. Then you cut them off. Cut them off in the sense you let them go. Okay, these answers won't come. Then you have 50% chance because let's say two answers are gone. Then you have 50% chance of getting the correct answer. Right, Vanu? You don't spend 10, 15 minutes on that. But first of all, you do the ones you know in first. Okay, right. Normally, from chapter 1, you will get questions like this. See, which of the following courts have the jurisdiction? Which of the courts have the power to do things? Right? So, for MCQs, focus, to study MCQs, you can't study it, you have to have the understanding. But there's a trick to it. What you can do is you can focus even in this paper also, right? You can focus on the MCQs that are being tested from 2020 to at least 2025. If possible, go for 2016 to the last 10-year papers. then your research area is very wide. You will realize that the same questions are coming back again and again and again. Because if you have seen it, then you are more likely to remember the question, and when the question is asked, you are more likely to remember the answer. Right? MCQs are much easier to study if you have, you know, if you have done the past papers, right? Otherwise, there's no way to study for MCQs because you have to have an understanding anyway. Now, see this for example. When Namal walks along Main Street, he sees a hybrid car with a price label of 200,000. Namal comes back to the place with 200,000 rupees and says that he is willing to buy the car for the price mentioned in the price label. The seller tells him that it is a mistake and it should be read as 2 million. How would you describe the price mentioned on the price label in terms of contract law? Now we know under contract law, okay, if there's a price label attached, it's is it an offer? It's not an offer. It's an invitation to offer. And the person who is willing to buy is the one who is making the offer. And the seller is the one who is selling, that is accepting whether that offer. Right? So advertisements are considered as an invitation to an offer. So this 200,000 placement is not an offer, it's an invitation to offer. So that understanding you need to have. So only then you will know the answer to this is an invitation to offer and not an offer. Okay, because advertisements are, or these posters are not considered as offer anymore. They're considered as an invitation to offer. Understand? So like that. You see, 1.12. What is a tender? Okay, a tender is, have you seen this? Uh, let's say I want to construct a building, okay? And I want quotations from the best construction companies. So for me to construct my, let's say some building, let's say you guys are constructors. So I'm putting a tender, I'm calling tenders. I'm asking, look, I want to build a building. It should be this much tall, let's say five-story building. And it is built in Colombo and this is the area. And here we have got the permissions and everything. So each one of you will send me a tender telling, okay, so I will do it for, let's say, 100 lakhs. Another one will say, so I will do it for 90,000 rupees. Sorry, 90 lakhs. Another one will say, so I'll do it for, 300 lakhs. And you will mention what are you going to use, what is the quality of your materials, all of these you will use. And from all those tenders, I can select the best tender that I want. Okay. So when I am issuing tenders, when I'm asked calling for tenders, I am inviting to offer. I mean, I'm making invitation. You are the ones who will be offering to construct. But in here, why tender won't be relevant is no, he's not making a tender. The car is not for tender. The car is for sale. Okay. Tenders are called. You have to send it. Right? I hope that answers, huh? If not, you let me know. 1.1. 1.1, which of the courts has the jurisdiction to interpret the constitution? Constitution is the highest court in Sri Lanka. So if it's the highest court is what? Supreme Court. Only the highest court can interpret the highest law. Constitution of the 1978 Constitution of Sri Lanka is the highest court in Sri Lanka. Maybe in the law in the country. And that can only be interpreted by the Supreme Court. Supreme Court is the highest court in Sri Lanka. Okay. So now don't worry. Now let's say you don't have this knowledge. Don't be scared. Okay, get a past paper, get from 2016. Okay, get the marking scheme from your AAT website. You can check online, right? Check what are the MCQ that have come, and you will realize the same questions are repeated. Then you will get some confidence, right? You don't have to study this. Don't worry. Just go through the past papers. And even if a question comes, one MCQ comes, you don't know the answer to, right? You won't lose a lot of marks. Don't worry. You can still go for an A. Okay. 1.1 answer is Supreme Court. Yeah. Okay. Apart from that, yeah, what are the other questions you will have? Uh, because MCQs, you need to have the understanding, huh? So I'm giving you a hint. If you don't have the understanding, simply do the past papers. See what are repeated. Then remember like that. That's the the other way around, where you try to trick the exam. and get it done. That is fine, completely fine, right? Even when you get through the exam, does the result matter in? Yeah, I believe it does to a certain extent. It's like this. No, now you have I think four subjects if I'm right. Okay, so as a matter of fact, now whether your results matter or not. Okay, don't worry about the results too much. Okay, results are a consequence. No, okay, results come based on doesn't matter how much you have studied. Results will come only based on what you write on the date of the exam. Okay, so you don't worry too much about the results. You focus on the process. You ask yourself, am I doing everything that I can do to pass this exam, to get through this exam? If you want to go for an A, are you working for an A? So I would say you work for A. Whether an A comes or not doesn't matter. At least you know that you work for one, right? What matters is the process. The results are not in your hands. You can't get an A. You have to be given and awarded an A based on what you have written. So, but if you study well, if you study smartly and if you study well, your probability of getting an A increases. That's all that there is to it. Okay. Uh, Other than that, don't worry too much about the result, whether this is relevant or irrelevant or uh, that is not the concern. Anyway, you are doing this, no? So get it done, and finish it off, right? Don't keep it for any other next stage or next year or anything. I'll do it next year. How I going to do it next year? No, we are double 83 again, right? So finish it off in one go. Right? This time around, you can more than enough time to focus also, and I've given you what to focus also. I don't know about the other papers. I can't vouch for the papers. At least my law subject, you study this at least. The document you have somewhere to start now, right? You focus on that. You do the instructions that are on that. More than enough, right? Yeah. What are the other questions you have? No questions. All done. All good. Is it? If you have any question, you can ask. Maybe any issues or anything that to get clarified. Uh, Ask me now itself. Much easier. But yeah, time management is also there. I understand some of you are doing A levels, right? Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like this, okay? It's a question of priority, right? So now, if you are doing two things at once, especially A levels and double AT, okay? Question is on the priority, right? What are you going to give more priority to? If you give more priority to your A levels, well, your focus will shift to that a lot. Okay. If you give priority to your double ATs, you can focus on that. And you have to remember this also. The exams in double AT, I think it's on 2 days, no? Just 2 days if I'm right. Yeah, yeah. I think Saturday and Sunday. Four exams, Saturday and Sunday. Right? So if you prepare a little bit more in advance, it will be helpful for you to focus on. I don't know whether the A-level exams are on those years. I can't remember now. I'm not much aware about that. But I believe it's not okay. I'm not sure. Is it on August or starting on August? Is it? If that is a scenario, yeah, you will have a lot of work to do. That is true. That I accept. Right? But that is not a reason to give up, right? That is not a reason to give up. So because this is challenging or because you are doing two things at once, is not a reason for you to give up A levels or even give up double AT. Okay, you do both and see, right? You do both and see. I levels is November, no? Then okay, you it's in November, no? A levels are in November, so you worry about that. May you don't have to worry about A levels. What you have to do is you do what you can do for A levels. Okay, because whatever you can do, you will do. Whatever you can't do, anyway, you can't do, no, right? So you do what you can do to the best of your ability, right? Now, in this month of July, right, you can shift your priority to a little bit to double AT. because that's the recent exam, that's the upcoming exam, isn't it? So shift your priority, shift your energy, shift your focus to AAT. Because once that is over, you have then June, July, so you have August, even month of August is done, August, September, October. Yeah, so almost 2 months, 3 months, you can focus, you can put your full and ultimate focus to your A levels there. Now it's much easier. And if you can't think properly, write it down. What are you going to do for the exams? Write everything down. When you write down, it helps you to clarify your mind. That's what many people do, right? Because you can't think alone. You have not trained your mind to think individually. If you are not that developed in your mind to think, separate and see things, best is you write down, right? Uh, take a journal and note down everything. Maybe you are feeling scared, write that down also. I'm feeling scared because of the exam. I don't know what to be done. Write everything down. Halfway when you're writing, you will realize the answer also. Don't worry. Right? Halfway when you write, you'll realize the answer. uh, yeah, the expected and obvious questions I told you. I don't know whether you were there. I told you if you want, I'll tell you again. That is okay. Note this down. Huh? I told you. Okay. I told you what not to study. Chapter one, don't study. Focus. Do study at the very last time. Only don't study. Just focus on the past papers for chapter one. Okay. Only do the MCQs. Contract law, yes, you have to study. Definite question. Chapter three, yes. That I read here. No. Uh, okay. These chapters. Chapter two, chapter three. Hold on. That you maybe all miss it again. Okay, these are important. Chapter two, chapter three. Yeah, then chapter four also. Chapter four. Yeah, chapter five might be important. And then apart from chapter four, five, six, okay, can leave seven. Where is insurance? Yeah, chapter eight. Chapter eight and 10. You first focus on these also. These normally come. Okay. 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, and 10. Right? Others also have to study thing. Other sitting you can a little bit study mildly. Okay. You don't have to put all your effort. These ones you have to little bit put effort. From this definitely 2, 3, and 8, 2, 3, 8, and 10 very very important. Very don't ignore these ones. These ones 2, uh, 3, 8, and 10. These chapters 2, 3, 8, and 10. You you have to have that no matter what. Okay, perfect. Good. We all have questions. Any other questions? Because I don't want to waste too much of your time and just roaming around, right? Let's come to the point directly. Any other issues? Any other things you want me to clarify? Right? If you have any issues, I don't know, drop me a message. Right? Get this number from the team or whatever. If you are a student of the e-learning program, right? Contact one of the team members if you need any lectures or anything. Contact them. Uh, any questions, you can contact me. Right? Yeah. You can take. Okay, I'll. Is there a main chat in here? Yeah, no. Yeah. You can ask the JMC also for my number, but in case you missed it, if you need any help. But here, when you are dropping a message, if you want any clarification on any question, let's say it's a past paper, drop me the past paper, the what do you call the past paper year and the question properly. Yeah. Otherwise, I don't have time to find which question this is. So, what the question based on that. So, uh, Yeah. So be responsible when you get my help, right? I think I dropped in the, I believe this is the main chat, right? And you can get it from our team also anyway, right? Best is if you can send me the answers, then I can check. That is the whole purpose of sending this. If you need to go for a lesson, you can ask the JMC team, the V Learning team. They have the study packs. You can get them from them. Okay, all the things that you need is there. If you want to get your answers corrected, you can drop me a message, right? Okay. Any other questions? Anything else? No questions. Okay then. Shall we close it off? I'll wait for another few minutes. If anyone has any questions, I'll just hold on for a few minutes. Okay, those who don't have questions, maybe you all can, yeah, you can fill that feedback form. I believe there's a feedback form. Fill that too. All right, perfect, perfect. Right. Then best of luck. Okay, do your exams well. Right. Uh, and yeah. You don't have to stress out, okay? Follow my instructions. You'll get through this exam. No worries, right? It's not a big deal. You all can manage, right? Yeah. Okay then. Good luck, students. Okay.